Hey guys, what's up? I just wanted to do a quick video for you on the application to work in the marijuana industry. I know a lot of people are curious about that. They may want to work in the industry when it gets to their state, and I can't guarantee that the requirements and whatnot will be the same, but it will likely be pretty similar. So without any further ado, I want to go ahead and get into this. Also, let me go ahead and state that if you are interested, you will have to be a Colorado resident, and you do have to have a Colorado ID or driver's license. And you're also going to want to call them to set up your appointment. It's usually going to be scheduled about a month out. So then in the meantime, you'll be able to go ahead and fill out this application and whatnot. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. One thing I've noticed since looking at this, I actually got a job in the industry and worked in the industry briefly. I'll do a video on that here soon. But when I filled out my application, I had to get certain things notarized, and I'm not seeing those now. I don't know if I'm just overlooking it or what, but that may be a little plus, although it's not expensive, but it was just kind of inconvenient to have to get the things notarized. But going forward, this is going to be your checklist. You're going to need to fill out the license whichever license type. So there's two different types of badges that you can get to work in the marijuana industry. There is a support badge, which is going to be like your typical bud tender or retail associate, and there is a key badge. The regular support badges start at $75. The key badges will be $250. Key badges are basically for managers, for anybody dealing with inventory of the product that has access like to the vaults with the product and that deals with like cash and shit like that. You'll need a key badge if you want to do any type of job like that. But going forward, you have to fill out your license type. You have to have your application obviously completed and signed. You need your proof of identity and residency. And it says here you must provide a Colorado driver's license and ID, and you must be a resident at the time of the application. Your application fee, which I said before, will either be like $75 or $250 respectively, and this will be how you submit it here. Going forward, ask you regular stuff here. You check off which type of badge this will be, whether it be a support, a key, or an upgrade from a support to a key badge, or if you're going to be working in the workforce development or training. I don't have too much knowledge of that. Regular legal last name, mother's maiden name, any nicknames or aliases. And also I want to give another heads up that this will be a pretty thorough background check. I believe it's an FBI background check, just simply because they want the marijuana industry to have good people in it. They don't want to have any stigma of a criminal industry or criminals working in the industry or anything like that. But we'll get into criminal history and stuff like that here in a second. Your gender, your race here, typical questions, social security number, date of birth, place of birth, driver's license, physical appearance, are you a citizen, physical address. They also want all of your addresses in the last 5 years, and they mean everything. Anywhere you've received mail or anything like that, you definitely need to list, or they're going to think that you're trying to hide something and they will deny your application, and you do not get your application feedback. Going down, do you currently possess a badge to work in the marijuana business, or are you an owner or associated person to anyone in the business? You have to let them know that. Have you ever applied for a badge in any other jurisdiction? And have you ever been denied a license? You have to disclose all that. Going forward, these next 8 questions are basically some of the main things here. So if you answer yes to any of these following 8 questions, you are not eligible to obtain a badge in the marijuana industry. Number 1, have you discharged a sentence for a conviction or felony pursuant to the state for possession, distribution, manufacturing, cultivation, or use of a controlled substance, including probation or parole within the last 10 years? So if you have any type of drug-related felonies in the last 10 years, you absolutely cannot work in the industry. Have you discharged a sentence, including probation and parole, within the last 5 years for any felony whatsoever? So if you've had any felony in the last 5 years, you are not going to be able to work in the industry. Sorry about your luck. Number 3, have you failed to remedy any outstanding judgments, taxes, interest, or penalties to the Department of Revenue relating to medical or retail marijuana businesses? If you owe them any money, they're not going to let you work in the industry. You have to take care of your business first. Number 4, are you a doctor making patient recommendations? So if you are a doctor and you're writing that your patients should probably use marijuana, you can't work in the industry. They consider that a conflict of interest. Have you had your authority to act as a primary caregiver revoked by the state health agency? I think this kind of more or less just leads to like morality and character for the most part. I feel like if you have your rights as a primary caregiver revoked, then you've probably done something to warrant that. So I think this kind of more or less goes to character. I could be wrong about that. Are you under 21 at the time of the application? So you do have to be 21 or over to work in the industry. More so, you can't fill this out prior to your 21st birthday and try to get a jump on things. You have to wait until you're 21 before you fill this out, submit your application. Are you the spouse or a child living in the household of anybody that works for the Marijuana Enforcement Division? Once again, this would be a huge conflict of interest. The Marijuana Enforcement Division is essentially the marijuana police. They have complete jurisdiction over the industry, and this would just be a huge conflict of interest. And then the last question is, are you a sheriff, a deputy sheriff, police officer, prosecuting officer, or an officer or employee of the Marijuana State Licensing Authority? Once again, conflict of interest. You're not going to be able to work in the industry. So, and tells you again here, stop. If you answered yes to any of these questions, you cannot obtain or hold a license in the marijuana industry. Going forward now, this is your criminal history section, and you're going to want to list anything and everything basically that they ask for here. If you leave anything out, your application will be denied. I am going to personally advise that if you do have to disclose anything here for the most part, to just wait it out. I don't think it's even worth it. I think when I first moved here, I probably wasn't eligible to work in this industry. However, over a certain amount of time, after like 5-10 years for certain shit, it doesn't matter anymore. So if you have anything in the last 5-10 years for the most part, I would probably just wait it out, because it's just going to be a nightmare trying to get this to go through. But real quick, just to touch on this, in the last 10 years, have you been arrested, served a criminal summons, charged with or convicted of any crime regarding the possession, distribution, manufacturing, cultivation, or use of a controlled substance? So last 10 years, any drug-related crimes is no bueno. In the last 5 years, have you been for any crimes in the last 5 years? They want to know about anything in the last 5 years, even if it's not drug-related. All arrests, charges, and convictions in the last 5 years, unless the charge was prior to the age of 18. All arrests, charges, and convictions, no matter of the class of crime. So even if it was a misdemeanor, you can't say, oh, it was a misdemeanor, I didn't think you want to know. They want to know everything. All serious traffic offenses, including DUI, DWI, reckless driving, leaving the scene of an accident, etc. And if you answered yes to any of these, using an additional sheet, please go into detail. For each felony offense you are arrested or charged, you must obtain official documentation from the court where you appeared showing the final disposition. You don't want to do that. I'm telling you right now, guys, it's going to be a complete fucking nightmare. Personal suggestion, go ahead and wait it out. Have you ever received a pardon or its equivalent for any criminal offense in this or any other country? Once again, you have to disclose that. This is your arrest disclosure form. This is where they want you to list everything. Now, once again, and in addition to the above listed felonies, this list includes being taken into custody for any offense, including traffic offenses. So if you've been taken into custody, like in a traffic offense like a DUI, you need to disclose that. Have you been issued a summons or citation for any offense except for any minor traffic offenses? Have you failed to comply with your sentencing requirements? Have you had any failure to appears or a bench warrant issued under your name? Have you had your driver's license suspended or revoked? And have you been alleged of driving under the influence or impaired? So here they want to know the date of the offense, the place of the offense, the arresting agency, your original charge, and your disposition narrative with additional documentation, and all your disposition paperwork for any felonies. So once again, this next page is just disclosing me of that. Then we go on any further. If you've obtained any professional licenses, they want you to disclose those, whether they be as a securities dealer, insurance, a lawyer, real estate agent, what have you. Have you ever been denied a privileged or professional license? They want to know that. Once again, I think this just goes more or less to character, because there's usually a reason why you would be denied such license. And then basically, do you have any businesses in the medical or retail marijuana business? Because this is kind of like a conflict of interest thing. They need to know what's going on for the most part. Going down here, this is just your affidavit. To sign and disclose everything, whether you are a citizen or a permanent resident or what have you. This is your affirmation of consent that everything is true and honest to the best of your knowledge. This is for the workforce development, which I am not, once again, I'm not very educated on. I don't know too much about that. I'll pretty much just skip through this because this didn't apply to me. This is to basically sign and give release for your crazy background check. They're going to do a state of Colorado, a fucking whole United States, a full FBI background check. You can pretty much get a job at Fort Knox after you get your marijuana license. Goes on to say this is all confidential, can't be shared, blah, blah, blah. This is, once again, you releasing your information, tells you everything about that here in great detail if you're interested in that. And lastly, pretty much here, we have a letter from the Department of Revenue. There's been a lot of people that fill out these applications and they don't disclose what they need to disclose, and then they get pissed because they can't get their money back or whatever. So this basically just goes on to make sure to tell you, hey, you know, did you list all of your arrests? Do you understand, you know, what is asked of you here? And then it goes on to say, here are some of the excuses we have heard from other people who have failed to disclose arrests to us. They said, hey, my attorney didn't tell me I had to disclose this. I didn't think I was arrested because I only got a ticket or a citation. I didn't think the arrest had anything to do with marijuana, or I didn't think that that was still on my record. Once again, if you guys have anything in the last 5 or 10 years, any felonies in the last 10, any weed related stuff in the last 10, or just any crimes in the last 10 years, you're gonna wanna disclose it. Or like I initially suggested, you're just gonna wanna go ahead and wait it out. Sign a date here. This is basically just so they could be like, look, shut up, you're not getting your money back. We fucking even told you in a letter afterwards what you needed to disclose. Because it is a little confusing with the wording, and that's part of the reason why I did this video. Because I was a little confused at first with what exactly they wanted to be disclosed for arrest information. So there's that, and then lastly here, this is just a statement of understanding, and it just goes on to, you know, say I understand I have to pay a fee, I have to notify them if I'm arrested for any felonies, and you have a license. I understand that if they contact me regarding any issues, that you have to give them information within 7 calendar days, you know, typical stuff like that, and sign and date. So that's pretty much it, guys. You have to be a Colorado resident, you have to be 21 or over, you have to have proof of identity that you are a Colorado resident, a Colorado ID of some sort. You have to have your application fee, and ideally a pretty clean background. And you will be good to go in the marijuana industry. You will set up for an appointment to submit this. Usually the appointments will be scheduled about a month out. And then if everything goes well with this, you will receive your badge in the mail in about a week or so. Mine was actually like a few days later. It seemed like it came right away. And like I said, I will be doing a follow-up video here soon talking about my brief stint in the marijuana industry, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, why I'm no longer in the industry, and if I may revisit the industry in the future. But if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them. And I'll be back with some more videos. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Peace.
Problems away. Do you mind if I burn one? And if you do, then I will take a sentence. When blood clot, you know where we come from. Let me smoke.